Hello and welcome to Tech Talk, where we're going to be answering your questions about all things technology. This month, we're going to be focusing on artificial intelligence and learning all about the basics of AI. So let's take a moment to answer this question. Now, there is a difference between artificial intelligence as well as generative AI. So let's talk about what generative AI actually is. So, generative AI refers to the type of artificial intelligence and technology that's capable of generating new content, such as text and images, audio, video, all the things that we have been seeing really explode in our world around us. This is not anything that has just been created on its own, though. It's been trained and has certain data that it's using in order to create these images or this text. So, we're going to dive into a little bit about how AI works in a way that hopefully you can understand a bit better, as well as see what do you know about AI all around you. So, when we think about what AI or artificial intelligence really is based on our definition, we think about, okay, what about in my real world? Well, AI really isn't anything that new in our world. It didn't just happen last year. So, take a look at some of these pictures and see how AI has been embedded in your life ever since we've had the internet. You'll notice with your Apple Watch when you look at it, movies that you're streaming, things that you're buying on the internet, AI is a part of it. Siri, Alexa, those pieces that have been around for a long time are also artificial intelligence. So, this is just a great way to have kids even start thinking about what is artificial intelligence. Especially, you can think about how their video games incorporate this, how their mail messages has that predictive part in it as well. So, they are in AI every day, just as we are. All right, so let's play a little game. And this is my favorite one to not only introduce adults to AI, but also students. So if you've never played Quick Draw before, you can always refer to it as something as Pictionary, right? So if we go to quickdraw.withgoogle.com, we're going to say, let's draw. And so it's going to tell me to draw a coffee cup. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw that coffee cup.
I see pond or swimming pool or paint can or cup. I see mug. Oh, I know, it's coffee cup.
So, as you see, in a matter of seconds, as I'm drawing, it's going to start guessing exactly what it is. Let's try one more.
I see squiggle. Oh, I know, it's broccoli.
So, super quick way to be able to demonstrate to not only your students and play a quick game together, but also introduce them to this is artificial intelligence. Now, we're going to take a look at the next piece to learn how in the world did this game learn and be able to decide that that was broccoli or that that was a coffee cup. So, let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at the data, right? So if you click on Quick Draw the data, it's going to share with you how this game was trained over time. So 15 million users or players have contributed to all of the drawings that are that data set that is being used by this artificial intelligence game. So I'm going to go ahead and click on any picture. It doesn't matter which one I click on. So I'm going to go ahead and do the birthday cake, let's say. So as I look at this, it tells me that 137,000 different birthday cake drawings have been made, of course, by people playing the game. And every time they make a drawing, that is data that is being collected for the computer to be able to identify. So as you can see, all of the different versions of birthday cake, even the steps they took to draw those cakes, some have candles, some don't, but it's helping train the data set that is going to be used for that AI to be able to identify that when I start drawing a circle and maybe putting sticks on it, maybe it's a birthday cake. So again, this is a great way to demonstrate to students and show them all of this data that's input into this isn't just made up, but users and people like us are helping contribute to this data set every single day. Now that we've had time to actually see an example of how an artificial intelligence game like Quick Draw uses that training data in order to play the game with you, let's talk a little bit more about how does that AI work. So again, here's another refresh definition of generative AI. It's the type of artificial intelligence that uses something called machine learning. So when we talk about technology, that technology is taking our information and data over time and learning what algorithms it's going to create. So if some of these terms are new to you, algorithm is just another word for a set of steps that something is following. So when we do coding or computer science, it's that set of steps that the computer or the program is following in order to create that outcome that you're hoping for. So the outcome in this area is the images or the video or the text, right? So here's the first part. So number one, it forms that database. So you saw those pictures of all those different things people drew, but that's not it. So when we really talk about artificial intelligence, it's all the data that's out there. And sometimes that's a little bit scary because we think, yeah, we already know like social media is collecting data and we know our Siri or our Alexa at our house are listening sometimes we think, right? And sometimes that's not far off. So it is using the data from things people put on the internet, pictures, blogs, articles, magazines, all those things that are entered on the internet are that database, right? So then when we turn around and go to something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatever one we may choose, we put in a prompt, right? We're asking it a question, no different than if you're wearing your Apple Watch and you ask Siri to tell you something, what time is it, or call someone. That's your prompt. That's the direction that you're giving it. And based on all of that data or those algorithms that it has created, it knows that when it hears you ask for call so and so, it's going to look in your data set of your phone, of those contacts, identify where that person is, and it's going to generate an output or that content, right? So this can look different in a variety of different ways, but this is another great discussion to have with your students too and say, okay, let's think of something as simple as me asking my Siri on my phone to tell me what time it is. What is the data that it's using? Well, it already has that in my phone ready to tell me. And so it can take whatever my prompt is, take that algorithm that has been matched to it, and then give me the output and generate that content and that response back, which is really actually pretty cool. So let's pause here and reflect just for a moment. So we've talked a little bit about what AI and what generative AI actually are. We've played a little game to see how that training data is inputted and how it comes out as an output, right? And now we're going to really think about what does this look like for education? Because that's the reason we're here, right? We're at the cusp of using AI for probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen. And this is a quote from Sale Khan from Khan Academy. And I love this because, yep, we've lived through the Chromebooks, we've lived through the creation of the internet, we've lived through cell phones, all the technology advancements that have been made over the year. Somehow we have found a way to overcome and not say, we can't use this, it's not able to. We are going to realize that this is not going anywhere. So, how can we harness it and use it in our educational journey, as well as really model and teach our students ways that they can use this for their future, whatever their career is going to look like, whatever direction they take? So, that is our job as educators. So, let's dive in and actually try some of these generative AI tools. Okay, so when we talk about generative AI that's going to create content, there's another term I'd like to introduce you to, and that's called an LLM, another word for a large language model. So taking text that has been inputted into these data sets from the internet, from people that write blogs, from all the information that is out there, right? And then as we prompt it and ask it questions, it's going to look for those similarities and start to create that output for us. So here are some examples of some large language models that you could try to explore during our time. So of course, the biggest one, OpenAI, the ChatGPT is definitely one you can check out. One of my other favorites is Claude.ai. And then of course, you can't forget Google in the race, and they have now since switched from Google Bard to calling it Google Gemini. Just be aware that you have to use your personal Gmail account, possibly, if your school does not have that available for you to use with a school account. And then two more, of course. Microsoft has its own version as well, and that is called Microsoft Copilot and Bing, which has AI built into it. And then the last one is called Perplexity. So these are a lot of great tools. You may have only heard of one, you may have learned a few of them before, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to dive into all these, and I'm going to model quickly what some of these will look like. All right, let's dive into ChatGPT, which is from OpenAI, right? So once you sign up for an account, which you could definitely use your school email account if you would like, or Google account, I want to point out one thing. In the very bottom left corner where you see your name at, if you click your name, you'll notice there's something that says custom instructions. You can tell ChatGPT exactly what your role is. So that way, every time you're prompting it and asking it something, you don't have to explain that you are a fifth grade science teacher or that you're a ninth grade algebra teacher, whatever that may be. So you can put in there exactly what you would like it to kind of give as a background so it knows, and then it can provide for you that information back that you're hoping for. Okay, so now that I'm in ChatGPT, I'm going to demonstrate for you some of the prompts. So I could click New Chat, and I'm going to tell you the better and more practice you get at the prompting, the better your results are going to be. So the more detail you give, the better. So here's one of my favorites. So let's pretend that I'm a high school history teacher and I want to engage my students with a rap to introduce federalism. In a matter of seconds, ChatGPT has created for me an actual song that I could do. Well, that's really cool, but maybe I don't even know what tune to put it to. So I asked it another question. So continue the prompt. Can you give me a song or music to put this to? Certainly. Here's the song, and that is perfect. But here's the best part. It actually gave me a link to the instrumental version of that song, so I could actually use this with my students. Don't like that song? I don't like it. Can you provide me another song to put this song to? Absolutely. Here's another one, instrumental version that goes with it. Boom, done. What do I do with it? So let's say I take this song that's here. I'm going to hit the copy button, which is at low clipboard. I'm going to open up a new tab for a Google Doc, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there so I have somewhere to save it. Check it out. Start typing prompts in new chats. Here's the other feature I want to share with you. Many of these large language models keep your chats. So remember that big data that we were talking about? This is it. This is what's going to help AI improve all of our data that's asking questions and providing information. So I could go back to any of these things. I have a whole long history of things I've asked it. You can come back at any time. You can even copy it, share it with other people, so that way your coworkers and people on your team can also find some great things as well. Check out ChatGPT. Here's another large language model called Perplexity. What's different about Perplexity, though, is that you are going to get sources brought back to you, and you'll notice that this word Copilot is here. So, it has part of that Copilot built into it that we're going to look at next. But here's the other piece I love. Not only does it actually have the sources where it's pulling that data from, but it also provides you images and videos that you can see, and you can even create new images from the content that's there. This is a really awesome tool to try and compare and see how this works for you. Check it out. Here's an example of Claude AI. So this is a little different because it uses Anthropic as its data set compared to OpenAI's ChatGPT model, right? So here's an example of me just asking to create an interactive Paul Revere adventure for my 8th grade history students. Here we go. Again, in a matter of seconds, it created some great output. Try out some different prompts and see how this compares to Perplexity as well as ChatGPT. Now that we've taken a look at some of the different large language models, let's just start exploring and trying those prompts. Remember, the more detail you're going to give it, tell it your role, tell it exactly what you want, tell it exactly how you want it to look. either in a table form, a bulleted form. Here's some great prompts just to help get you started to play around with. Lastly, just like anything else that is on the internet or in our world today in technology, we really have to ourselves take a look and say, is this real? Is there bias to it? Is it accurate? Does it require, if I'm having it create student activities, does it require higher level thinking, critical thinking? Is it challenging to my students? So, all of these different things that are out there, video, pictures, anything that AI creates, we ourselves have to really think, is this true? We have to do some fact checking, right? So these are things we have to model for our students too, is to really start to evaluate the AI, use it as a tool, but be able to identify what pieces we can pull from and use in our journey. As we wrap up our tech talk all about AI today, I want you to think about, what did you explore and learn? Carry that over, take it with you, and I look forward to seeing you next month with our tech talk.